The cargo bay doors hissed open with a sound like escaping breath. Kevin Brooks stepped inside, his datapad glowing faintly in the dim light. He had come to catalog salvage from the recent pirate attack. Outpost Caro still bore the scars of that raid. Broken panels hung from walls. Exposed wires sparked occasionally in the darkness. The environmental controls in this section had been offline for 3 days now. Kevin's breath misted in the cold air. He pulled his jacket tighter and moved deeper into the bay. His boots clanged against the metal floor. The sound echoed in the vast empty space. Most of the cargo had been moved after the attack. Only damaged containers remained, stacked haphazardly against the far wall. Then he saw the glow. It was small and flickering, like a candle struggling against the wind. Kevin froze. Fire on a space station meant danger. He reached for his communicator, then paused. The light was too controlled, too deliberate. Someone had made that fire on purpose. He moved closer, stepping carefully around scattered debris. The glow came from behind a cluster of containers. Kevin rounded the corner and stopped completely. A figure huddled near a small flame burning in a metal container. The fire fed on what looked like scraps of fabric. Next to the figure, wrapped in tattered blankets, lay something small. Kevin's eyes adjusted to the darkness. The figure was not human. She was tall and thin, with scales that caught the firelight in shades of deep green and bronze. Her face was elongated, with large eyes that reflected the flames like mirrors. She looked up at Kevin with an expression he recognized instantly despite the alien features. It was fear mixed with desperation. "Please," she said in heavily accented standard. "Please no take fire." Kevin raised his hands slowly. "I'm not taking anything. Are you okay?" The alien mother pulled the bundle closer to her. Kevin could see movement now. A smaller creature, no bigger than a human infant, lay wrapped in the blankets. Its tiny chest rose and fell with rapid, shallow breaths. "Cold," the mother said. "Too cold. My Rila, she need warm. I make warm." Kevin looked at the fire. It was dying. The fabric scraps were almost gone. He glanced around and saw more evidence scattered nearby. Pieces of clothing lay in small piles. Some had already been burned. Others waited their turn. There were other items too. A small carved box, broken and partially charred. What looked like photo frames, their contents long since fed to the flames. "You're burning your clothes?" Kevin said quietly. "No choice." The mother's voice cracked. "All things I bring from home. All memories. But Rila must live. She must stay warm or she die." Kevin knelt slowly, keeping his distance so as not to frighten her. "What are you? I mean, what species?" "Vrynn," she said. "I am Thessa. This is Rila. We come from Vrynn Prime. The invaders come. We run. Ship bring us here. They say station is safe. They say they help." "But they didn't help," Kevin said. Thessa shook her head. The gesture looked strange with her elongated neck, but the meaning was clear. "Commanders say too many refugees. Say no room in warm places. Send us here. Say we must wait. But Vrynn cannot wait in cold. We are not like humans. We need heat like you need air." Kevin felt something tighten in his chest. He had heard about the refugee situation. Outpost Caro had taken in hundreds after the Vrynn invasion. The station was overcrowded. Resources were stretched thin. The administration had made difficult choices. But sending cold-blooded aliens to freezing cargo bays was not a difficult choice. It was cruelty disguised as efficiency. The fire flickered lower. Thessa reached for another piece of fabric. It was a small garment, clearly made for a child. She hesitated, her scaled fingers trembling. Then she placed it carefully on the dying flames. "That was hers, wasn't it?" Kevin asked. "Rila's." "From when she born?" Thessa whispered. "My mother make it. She with ancestors now. This all I have of her. But Rila need warm more than I need remember." Kevin watched the small garment curl and blacken in the fire. He thought about his own mother, light years away on Earth. He thought about the box of childhood photos he kept in his quarters. He tried to imagine burning them one by one just to survive. He could not imagine it. "How long have you been here?" he asked. 3 days. Maybe 4. Hard to know. So cold, hard to think. "And you've been burning your things this whole time?" "Yes. First I burn extra clothes. Then I burn bags. Then I burn special things. Things from home. Things from family." Thessa looked down at the small bundle in her arms. "Soon nothing left to burn. Then what I do?" Kevin stood up. He pulled off his thermal jacket and handed it to Thessa. She stared at it, not understanding. "Wrap her in this," Kevin said. "It will help." But you need. I can get another one. Take it. Thessa accepted the jacket with shaking hands. She wrapped it carefully around Rila. The infant made a small sound almost like a sigh. Her breathing seemed to deepen slightly. Kevin pulled out his datapad and began making notes. How many Vrynn are in this bay? 7 families. Maybe 30 persons. All cold. All burning things to stay alive. Kevin's jaw tightened. 30 people suffering in the cold while the main station maintained comfortable temperatures for humans. It was not just wrong. It was unconscionable. Listen to me, Thessa, he said. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get you real heat. Proper environmental controls. You cannot. Commanders say no. Rules say no. Then I'll break the rules. Thessa looked at him with those large reflective eyes. Why you help? You not know us? We are alien to you. Kevin thought about that question. He looked at the pile of burned memories. He looked at the infant struggling to breathe. He looked at a mother willing to erase her past to give her child a future. Because it's the right thing to do, he said simply. And because no parent should have to choose between memories and their child's life. He turned toward the door, then looked back. Keep the fire going as long as you can. I'll be back soon. I promise. As Kevin walked out of the cargo bay, his mind was already racing. He knew the official channels would not help. He had seen the reports. He knew the station's position on refugee resources. But he also knew the station inside and out. He knew people who might help. He knew where to find equipment. More importantly, he knew he could not walk away. Behind him, in the freezing darkness, Thessa fed the last of her embroidered scarf to the flames and held her daughter close. The human had made a promise. She did not know if he could keep it. But for the first time in days she felt something other than despair. She felt hope. Kevin returned to the cargo bay 6 hours later with thermal blankets and portable heat packs. It was not enough, but it was all he could carry without drawing attention. He found Thessa in the same position, huddled over her daughter. The fire had gone out. The metal container held only ash. Thessa, Kevin said softly. She looked up. Her movements were slower than before. Kevin noticed her scales had lost some of their shine. They looked dull, almost gray in places. Kevin Brooks, she said, remembering his name. You come back. I told you I would. He knelt beside her and activated a heat pack. It began warming immediately. He placed it near Rila and wrapped one of the thermal blankets around both mother and child. Thessa closed her eyes. Warm, she whispered. Thank you. Kevin looked at Rila and his stomach twisted. The infant's scales were pale, almost white. Her breathing was rapid and shallow. Her tiny body barely moved. How long has she been like this? Kevin asked. Since morning. She stopped eating yesterday. Now she only sleep. Not good sleep. Sick sleep. Kevin had done research after leaving the cargo bay. He had accessed the station's database on Vrynn biology. What he learned terrified him. Vrynn were cold-blooded, like Earth's reptiles. But their metabolism was more complex. They needed ambient temperatures above 85 degrees to function properly. Below 70 degrees their bodies began shutting down. Below 60 degrees the shutdown became irreversible. He pulled out a small scanner from his pocket. It was meant for checking cargo temperatures, but it would work. He pointed it at Rila. The display read 58 degrees. They were running out of time. I need to take her to medical, Kevin said. Dr. Mitchell can help. Thessa shook her head. Medical say no before. Say resources for humans first. Say wait our turn. Then I'll make them say yes. Kevin carefully lifted Rila. The infant was so light, like holding air wrapped in scales. He could feel her heart beating against his palm, fast and weak like a bird's. Thessa struggled to stand. Kevin helped her up with his free arm. They made their way through the station corridors. People stared as they passed. Some looked away. Others watched with expressions Kevin could not read. He ignored them all and focused on getting to the medical bay. Dr. Mitchell was reviewing charts when they arrived. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked up as Kevin entered with Thessa and Rila. Kevin, what are you doing? Dr. Mitchell asked. This infant is dying. She needs treatment now. Dr. Mitchell came closer and looked at Rila. Kevin saw concern flash across his face. The doctor pulled out a medical scanner and ran it over the small body. He frowned at the readings. Severe hypothermia. Metabolic shutdown. Respiratory distress. He looked at Kevin. How long has she been in the cold? 3 days. Maybe 4. This is bad, Kevin. Really bad. Her core temperature is critically low. If we don't warm her carefully and quickly, she'll go into complete system failure. Then help her, Kevin said. Dr. Mitchell hesitated. I want to, but I have orders. Administrator Chin was very clear. Refugee medical treatment is limited to emergency stabilization only. Non-critical cases must wait until human needs are met first. She's dying. How is that not an emergency? The definition of emergency was set by administration, not by me. I'm sorry, Kevin. My hands are tied. Kevin felt anger rising in his chest. So you're just going to let her die? I didn't say that. I said my hands are tied by official channels. Dr. Mitchell glanced at the door, then back at Kevin. He lowered his voice. But if someone were to leave some medical supplies in exam room 3, and if someone were to accidentally leave the door unlocked, I couldn't be held responsible for what happens when I'm busy with paperwork in my office. Kevin understood. Thank you. I never saw you, Dr. Mitchell said. He walked toward his office without looking back. Kevin carried Rila into exam room 3. Thessa followed, moving slowly. The room was small but equipped with basic medical equipment. Kevin found heating pads and activated them. He placed Rila on the examination table and surrounded her with warmth. Thessa held her daughter's tiny hand. She going to live? Thessa asked. I don't know, Kevin said honestly. But we're trying. He stayed with them for 2 hours, monitoring Rila's temperature as it slowly climbed. The infant's color improved slightly, but her breathing remained weak. Kevin knew this was only a temporary solution. The heat packs would run out. The medical bay could not hide them forever. They needed a real answer. He left Thessa in the exam room and went to find Administrator Chin. The administrator's office was in the station's central hub, where the environmental controls worked perfectly. The temperature was a comfortable 72 degrees. Kevin knocked on the door. A voice called for him to enter. Administrator Chin sat behind a desk covered with datapads and reports. She was a sharp-featured woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair pulled back severely. Mr. Brooks, she said without looking up. What can I do for you? I need to request emergency environmental control restoration for Cargo Bay 7. Denied. Next request. Kevin blinked. You didn't even ask why. I don't need to ask. Cargo Bay 7 houses Vrynn refugees. Environmental control requires power. Power is limited due to raid damage. Human areas take priority. Request denied. There are children dying down there. That's unfortunate. But my responsibility is to this station's human population first. The Vrynn situation is temporary. Once repairs are complete, we'll reassess. How long will repairs take? 6 to 8 weeks. Kevin felt cold despite the warm office. They don't have 6 weeks. They'll be dead in days. Administrator Chin finally looked up. Her expression was not cruel. It was worse. It was indifferent. Mr. Brooks, I understand your compassion. But I have 3,000 humans on this station. I have limited resources. I have to make difficult choices. If I divert power to refugee areas, I'm taking it from somewhere else. Maybe life support. Maybe medical. Maybe food storage. Would you like to choose which humans suffer so aliens can be comfortable? It's not about comfort. It's about survival. Everything is about survival in space, Mr. Brooks. You know that. Now, if you don't have any other official business, I have work to do. Kevin stood there for a moment. He thought about Rila's pale scales. He thought about Thessa burning her memories. He thought about 30 Vrynn families freezing in the darkness. One more question, Kevin said. If they were human refugees, would your answer be different? Administrator Chen's expression hardened. That's not a fair question. It's the only question that matters. Kevin left the office before she could respond. He walked through the station's corridors, past comfortable quarters and heated common areas. He passed the cafeteria where humans ate warm meals. He passed the recreation area where children played in perfect climate control. And he made a decision. Official channels had failed. Rules and regulations prioritized paperwork over lives. If the system would not save them, then he would break the system. Kevin pulled out his communicator and sent 3 messages. One to Paula in engineering. One to Tom in cargo operations. One to Dr. Mitchell in medical. The message was simple. Need help saving lives. Will probably get fired. Are you in? All 3 responded within minutes. Paula, I'm in. Tom, tell me what you need. Dr. Mitchell, already in. What took you so long? Kevin looked at his datapad. According to his research, Rila had maybe 48 hours before her condition became irreversible. Other VRNN children in the bay were not far behind. 48 hours to build a miracle. He started walking toward the engineering section. There was no time to waste. Paula met Kevin in the engineering workshop at midnight. The room smelled of metal and ozone. Shelves lined the walls, filled with parts salvaged from the pirate attack. Paula was a short woman with calloused hands and grease under her fingernails. She had worked on Outpost Caro for 12 years and knew every system inside out. "Show me what you found," she said without greeting. Kevin gestured to the parts he had collected. 3 damaged heating coils from the destroyed environmental system. A backup power cell that still held 40% charge. Temperature regulators pulled from broken climate control units. Insulated paneling from a gutted storage room. Paula picked up one of the heating coils and examined it. "This one's cracked. Won't hold heat properly. Can you fix it?" "Maybe. It'll take time." She looked at the other components. "You're trying to build a warming chamber?" "Yes." "For the VRNN in Cargo Bay 7? "Yes." Paula was quiet for a moment. She turned the heating coil over in her hands. "My sister died in the evacuation of Gamma Station," she said. "Pirates hit them too. Not enough rescue ships. They had to choose who to save first. She didn't make the cut." Kevin did not know what to say. "I understand making hard choices," Paula continued. "But choosing not to try? That's different. That's just giving up." She set down the heating coil and rolled up her sleeves. "Let's get to work." They worked through the night. Paula repaired the cracked heating coil with a welding torch. Kevin assembled the frame for the warming chamber using salvaged paneling. The design was simple. A small enclosed space, maybe 3 meters by 3 meters, with heating elements arranged along the walls. The power cell would run everything. "How long will the power last?" Kevin asked. "If we're smart about it, maybe 5 days. After that, we'll need another solution." 5 days was better than nothing. By morning they had built something that looked more like a metal box than a proper chamber. But when Paula activated it, the temperature inside climbed steadily. Within an hour, it reached 80 degrees. "It works," Kevin said. "It works for now," Paula corrected. "The coil I repaired won't last forever. And this power cell is already damaged. We're running on borrowed time. Then we'll borrow more time." Tom arrived at the cargo bay at dawn with a cart full of supplies. He was a large man with a quiet voice. He had worked in cargo operations for most of his adult life. He knew how to move things without being noticed. "Heat packs," he said, unloading the cart. "Got them from the emergency supply depot. Also brought extra blankets, thermal wrap, and some food rations." "Won't someone notice they're missing?" Kevin asked. "Already noticed. I filed a report saying they were damaged in the raid. Paperwork says they were destroyed. As far as the system knows, this stuff doesn't exist anymore." Kevin helped him unload. "Thank you for this." "Don't thank me yet. Security is asking questions. Someone saw you carrying the VRYNN infant to medical. Administrator Chin put out a notice. She wants to know who's using unauthorized resources." "How long before they figure it out?" "Maybe a day. Maybe less." They carried the warming chamber into Cargo Bay 7 in pieces and assembled it near where Thessa and the other VRNN families huddled. The aliens watched with wide eyes. Some were too cold to move. Others helped as best they could. When the chamber was complete, Kevin activated it. Warm air began to flow. The VRNN nearest to it made sounds of relief. Their scales seemed to brighten slightly. "Take the children first," Kevin said to Thessa. She carried Rila into the chamber. Other mothers brought their infants. Soon, 7 small VRNN children lay inside, wrapped in thermal blankets. The parents took turns sitting with them, rotating so everyone got some warmth. Dr. Mitchell arrived an hour later with medical supplies. He checked each child and gave Kevin a grim look. "Rila is the worst, but they're all in danger. This warming chamber helps, but it's not enough. They need sustained heat for at least a week to fully recover. And the adults need warmth too. They're deteriorating. Can you treat them?" "I can try. But I'm taking a huge risk every time I come here." Administrator Chin reviewed the medical supply logs this morning. She noticed discrepancies. "She's starting an investigation." "What does that mean?" "It means we're all about to get caught." Kevin looked at the VRYNN families. Some were sleeping near the warming chamber, soaking up heat like plants seeking sun. Others sat together, sharing the thermal blankets. Thessa watched her daughter breathe more easily and had tears running down her scaled cheeks. "Then we get caught," Kevin said. "But not before we finish this." Over the next 2 days, Kevin's team worked around the clock. Paula scavenged more parts and built 2 additional warming chambers. Tom smuggled in food and supplies. Dr. Mitchell treated the sick children and monitored their recovery. Kevin coordinated everything, running between the cargo bay and various parts of the station. He traded his personal belongings for parts and favors. His music player went to a technician in exchange for wiring. His collection of old Earth books went to a trader for heat packs. His father's watch, the only thing he owned from home, went to a power systems specialist for a better battery. "You're giving up everything," Paula said when she saw the watch change hands. "Thessa gave up everything first," Kevin replied. "I'm just following her example." On the third day, security came looking. 2 officers appeared at the cargo bay entrance while Kevin was inside checking on Rila. Tom saw them first and sent a warning message. Kevin had just enough time to hide the warming chambers behind cargo containers before the officers entered. "Kevin Brooks?" one of them asked. "That's me. You're wanted for questioning. Unauthorized use of station resources. Possible theft of emergency supplies. You need to come with us." Kevin looked at Thessa. She held Rila close. The infant's color had improved. Her breathing was stronger. But she still needed more time. "Can it wait an hour?" Kevin asked. "No. Now." Tom stepped forward. "Actually, I think you want to talk to me. I signed for those emergency supplies. I filed the damage reports. Kevin was just helping me move things." The security officers looked confused. "That's not what our report says." "Then your report is wrong," Paula said, emerging from behind a container. "I authorized the power cell usage. Kevin was working under my supervision." Dr. Mitchell appeared from another direction. "And I cleared the medical supplies for humanitarian use. Check Regulation 742. Medical personnel have discretion in crisis situations." The officers looked at each other. They had come for one person and found 4 all claiming responsibility. "This is irregular," one officer said. "So is letting children die," Paula replied. The officer's expression hardened. "All of you need to come for questioning. Administrator Chen wants answers." "Fine," Kevin said. "But first, let me make sure the warming chambers stay active. These children need constant heat. Give me 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Kevin worked quickly. He showed 2 of the Vrynn adults how to monitor the power levels and adjust the temperature controls. He made sure they understood how to ration the heat packs. He checked Rila one last time. Her scales had regained some color. Her eyes were open and alert. "You saved her," Thessa whispered. "You saved them all." "Not yet," Kevin said. "But we're trying." As the security officers led him and his team away, Kevin looked back at the cargo bay. The warming chambers glowed softly in the darkness. Vrynn families gathered around them, absorbing life-saving heat. Children who had been dying 3 days ago now moved and played weakly. It was not a permanent solution. The power would run out. The investigation would probably end his career. But right now, in this moment, they were alive. And that meant everything. The interrogation room was cold and bare. Kevin sat across from Administrator Chen for 3 hours while she reviewed files on her datapad. Paula, Tom, and Dr. Mitchell were in separate rooms. The strategy was clear. Isolate them. Break them down. Get confessions. "You've cost this station thousands of credits in unauthorized resource use," Administrator Chen said. "You've violated at least 8 regulations. You've stolen emergency supplies. Do you understand the severity of this?" Kevin kept his voice steady. "I understand that children were dying. Children die every day in this galaxy, Mr. Brooks. We cannot save everyone. We weren't trying to save everyone. Just the ones right in front of us." Administrator Chen closed her datapad. "Your employment is terminated effective immediately. You'll be confined to quarters pending transfer off the station. Your colleagues will face similar consequences." Before Kevin could respond, the lights flickered. "What?" Twice. Then the room plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. An alarm blared through the speakers. A mechanical voice announced, "Power surge detected. Non-essential systems shutting down. Initiating emergency protocols." Administrator Chen stood up quickly. "What's happening?" The door opened and a technician rushed in. "Ma'am, we've got major problems. The damaged power grid just failed in sections C and D. We're having a station-wide cold snap. Temperature is dropping everywhere except essential areas." Kevin's blood turned to ice. Section C included Cargo Bay 7. The warming chambers ran on backup power, but if the station's environmental systems failed completely, the temperature would plummet. The Vrynn would freeze. "I need to go," Kevin said, standing. "Sit down," Administrator Chin ordered. People are dying. Security will handle it. Security doesn't know how the warming chambers work. I do. Kevin looked her in the eye. You can fire me. You can arrest me. But if you stop me from helping right now, you'll have to explain to the Frontier Alliance why you let 30 refugees freeze to death while I sat in an interrogation room. Administrator Chin stared at him. The alarm continued blaring. Finally, she nodded to the security officer at the door. Let him go. But follow him. Kevin ran. The security officer struggled to keep up as he sprinted through corridors. The temperature was already dropping. People gathered in doorways, confused and worried. Kevin's breath misted in the air. He reached Cargo Bay 7 and his worst fears came true. The warming chambers were dark. Their power cells had drained during the search. The Vrynn families huddled together in the rapidly cooling air. Children cried. Adults moved sluggishly, their bodies already shutting down from the cold. Kevin found Thessa near the dead warming chamber. She held Rila against her chest. The infant was barely moving. Her scales had turned white again. Kevin Brooks, Thessa said weakly. The warm stop. The machines die. Kevin pulled out his scanner. The bay temperature was 55 degrees and falling. Rila's body temperature was even lower. He had maybe an hour before the damage became permanent. I'm fixing this, he said. The security officer caught up, breathing hard. Brooks, you need to return to. Call Dr. Mitchell. Tell him to get here now. This child is dying. The officer hesitated, then spoke into his communicator. Kevin did not wait for a response. He left the cargo bay and ran toward the station's climate control center. It was in the central hub, the most protected part of the station. If he could reroute power from non-essential areas to Cargo Bay 7, he could restart the environmental systems there. The control center was locked. A biometric scanner guarded the door. Kevin did not have clearance. He looked around and found an emergency access panel nearby. He pried it open with his multi-tool and started pulling wires. Brooks, stop. The security officer had followed him. That's a restricted area. You can't. Watch me. Kevin bypassed the lock. The door hissed open. Inside, the climate control center was a maze of screens and controls. Kevin had studied the schematics before. He knew what to do in theory. He had never actually done it. He sat at the main console and brought up the power distribution grid. The station's damaged systems created a complicated web of connections. Kevin traced the power flow from essential areas. The administrator offices had full climate control. The recreation areas had heat. The cafeteria ran at normal temperature. Meanwhile, Cargo Bay 7 froze. Kevin's fingers flew across the controls. He started rerouting power. He pulled from the administrator wing first. Then from non-essential storage. Then from the recreation areas. Warning messages appeared on the screen. He ignored them all. The alarm changed pitch. A new voice blared through the speakers. Unauthorized power rerouting detected. Security alert. Climate control center breach. Kevin kept working. He diverted every what he could find to Cargo Bay 7. The environmental systems there flickered online. He watched the temperature readings start to climb. 56 degrees. 57. 58. The door burst open. 3 security officers rushed in with Administrator Chin behind them. Stop what you're doing immediately, she commanded. Kevin did not stop. He locked the controls and set them to maintain power to Cargo Bay 7. 59 degrees. 60 degrees. You're stealing power from essential areas, Administrator Chin said. I'm stealing power from your office and the recreation lounge. Not exactly life or death systems. This is criminal. Then arrest me. But those controls are locked now. Only a full system override can change them. That'll take hours. By then, the Vrynn will be warm enough to survive. 2 officers grabbed Kevin's arms and pulled him away from the console. Administrator Chin stared at the screen, her face red with anger. Kevin pulled out his personal communicator with his free hand. He had prepared for this moment. He activated a program Paula had helped him write. It compiled everything. Medical scans of dying Vrynn children. Temperature readings from the cargo bay. Records of denied requests for help. Photos of Thessa burning her possessions. Video of Administrator Chin saying human comfort came before alien survival. He transmitted it all. Not just to Station Command. Not just to the Frontier Alliance. He sent it everywhere. Every news network. Every humanitarian organization. Every social media platform humans used across settled space. The message was simple. Outpost Caro is letting refugees freeze while administrators stay warm. This is what we've become. What did you just do? Administrator Chin asked. I told the truth. The security officers dragged Kevin out of the climate control center. They took his communicator. They locked restraints on his wrists. But it was too late. The message was sent. Within minutes, it was spreading across human space. In Cargo Bay 7, Dr. Mitchell arrived and rushed to Rila. The infant was cold and unresponsive. Her breathing had nearly stopped. The doctor worked quickly, using heating pads and warm fluids. He had researched Vrynn physiology and adapted human techniques. Come on, he whispered. Come on, little one. Fight. Rila's chest fluttered. What? Twice. Her eyes opened slightly. Dr. Mitchell felt her body temperature rising as the bay's environmental systems pumped warm air around them. Thessa watched with tears streaming down her face. She live. She's fighting, Dr. Mitchell said. And she's got human stubbornness helping her now. By the time security brought Kevin to a holding cell, his message had been viewed 500,000 times. By the next morning it had reached 10 million. News organizations picked it up. Politicians demanded answers. Humanitarian groups called for investigations. Kevin sat in his cell and waited. He had lost his job. He would probably face criminal charges. But Rila was alive. The Vrynn families had heat. And the galaxy was watching. Sometimes breaking the rules was the only way to do what was right. The holding cell was small but not uncomfortable. Kevin had been there for 2 days when the door finally opened. He expected security officers. Instead, he saw a woman in the formal uniform of the Frontier Alliance Council. She had gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Brooks, she said. I'm Council Inspector Sarah Wright. I've been sent to investigate conditions on Outpost Caro. Kevin stood up. How are the Vrynn? They're fine. All of them. Cargo Bay 7 now has full environmental controls. Temperature is maintained at 87 degrees. She paused. Your message caused quite a stir. I just told the truth. Yes, you did. And 50 million people have now seen that truth. The Frontier Alliance is not pleased with what they saw. Inspector Wright sat down and gestured for Kevin to do the same. She pulled out a datapad and showed him the screen. It displayed news headlines from across human space. Outpost Caro scandal exposes refugee crisis. Human station accused of letting alien children freeze. Supply runner breaks rules to save lives, faces arrest. Where is our humanity? The Vrynn question. Kevin read them silently. Inspector Wright watched his reaction. Administrator Chin has been removed from her position, she said. Pending a full investigation into her resource allocation decisions. The station's entire refugee policy is being reviewed. And you've become something of a public figure. I didn't do it for attention. I know. That's what makes it matter. Inspector Wright put away her datapad. The charges against you have been dropped. The Frontier Alliance determined your actions, while technically illegal, were morally justified. Your employment status is being reviewed, but you're free to go. Kevin felt relief wash over him. And Paula? Tom? Dr. Mitchell? Also cleared. Dr. Mitchell is actually being commended for his medical work. Paula has been offered a promotion. Tom is back at his regular job. What happens now? Now we fix the mess, Inspector Wright said. Outpost Caro is receiving emergency funding for full environmental upgrades. Every section of the station will have proper climate controls within 2 weeks. The Frontier Alliance is also implementing new regulations. All stations that accept refugees must provide species-appropriate living conditions. No exceptions. That's good. It's more than good. It's a complete policy change. And it's happening because you refuse to look away. She stood up. Come on. There are people who want to see you. Kevin followed her out of the holding cell and through the station corridors. People stared as he passed. Some nodded in respect. Others smiled. A few even applauded. Kevin felt uncomfortable with the attention. Inspector Wright led him to Cargo Bay 7. But when the doors opened, Kevin barely recognized it. The dark, freezing space was gone. In its place was a warm, well-lit area with proper insulation and climate controls. Temporary housing units had been set up. Vrynn families moved around freely, their scales bright and healthy. Thessa saw him first. She rushed over with Rila in her arms. The infant was alert and active, her scales a beautiful shade of bronze and green. She made happy chirping sounds. Kevin Brooks, Thessa said. Her voice was strong now, not weak and desperate like before. You come. I had to see how you were doing. We are living. We are warm. Because of you. Thessa gestured around the transformed cargo bay. All of this, because one human refused to give up. Rila reached out tiny scaled hands toward Kevin. He took her gently. She was warm. Her eyes were bright. She grabbed his finger with surprising strength. She know you, Thessa said. She know the one who saved her. Other Vrynn gathered around. Kevin recognized some faces from his previous visits. Parents with children who had been sick and cold. Elderly Vrynn who had been too weak to move. Now they all stood healthy and grateful. One of the older Vrynn stepped forward. He carried a small carved object. I am Elder Corvin, he said in careful standard. I speak for families. We want give you something. He held out the carving. It was a scale about the size of Kevin's palm, intricately carved with patterns that spiraled and flowed like water. The craftsmanship was incredible. This is gift of eternal gratitude, Elder Corvin explained. When Vrynn give carved scale, it mean we owe life debt. It mean we never forget. It mean you are family always. Kevin took the carved scale carefully. It was smooth and warm to the touch. I don't know what to say. Say nothing. Just accept. Just know that Vrynn remember. We tell our children. We tell their children. The story of Kevin Brooks who break rules to save strangers. The human who show us what human truly mean. Kevin felt emotion tightening his throat. He looked at Thessa, at Rila, at all the families who had nearly died in the cold. I just did what anyone should do. But not what everyone would do, Elder Corvin said. That difference matter. Inspector Wright stepped forward. Mr. Brooks, I have one more thing to tell you. The Frontier Alliance Council has awarded you the Humanitarian Service Medal. It's given to individuals who risk everything to help others. The ceremony is in 2 weeks. Kevin barely heard her. He was looking at Rila, who had fallen asleep in his arms. She breathed deeply and evenly. Her scales were warm. She was alive. That was worth more than any medal. Over the next week, Kevin watched as Outpost Cairo transformed. The Vrynn were moved to proper quarters with controlled environments. Other refugee groups received similar upgrades. Paula oversaw the installation of new climate systems. Tom coordinated the distribution of supplies. Dr. Mitchell set up a proper medical clinic that served all species equally. News continued to spread across human space. Kevin's message had sparked something bigger than anyone expected. Other stations began reviewing their refugee policies. Politicians debated new laws. Humanitarian organizations received record donations. People were talking about responsibility and compassion. Kevin received messages from strangers. Some thanked him. Some criticized him for breaking rules. Some shared their own stories of helping others despite difficulty. Each message reminded him that actions had ripples that spread far beyond their origin. On his last day before the Frontier Alliance ceremony, Kevin visited Thessa and Rila in their new home. It was a small but comfortable apartment with proper heating and furnishings. Thessa had started decorating. She had purchased new photos and keepsakes to replace the ones she had burned. Starting over, she explained. Making new memories. Rila played on the floor with toys other Vrynn children had shared. She was healthy and happy. No one looking at her now would guess she had nearly died from the cold. I have question, Thessa said. Why you do it? Why you risk everything for aliens you not know? Kevin thought about that. He thought about his mother's teachings. He thought about human history full of both cruelty and compassion. He thought about who he wanted to be. Because being human isn't about having the best technology or the strongest military, he said finally. It's about choosing to help when we can. It's about refusing to abandon others just because it's difficult or inconvenient. That's what makes us human. Not what we have, but what we do. Thessa nodded slowly. I understand. And I tell you something. Before I come here, I think humans are cold people. All machines and rules and no heart. You show me I wrong. You show me humans can be warm. Not just in body. In spirit too. Kevin smiled. Some of us try. He said goodbye and left the apartment. As he walked through the station, he passed the memorial wall where names of those lost in the pirate raid were displayed. Soon there would be another memorial. One for the refugees who had been saved. One that would remind people what mattered. The ceremony came and went. Kevin received his medal and gave a short speech. But what he remembered most was not the award or the applause. It was Rila's tiny hand grabbing his finger. It was Thessa's tears of gratitude. It was the warmth of the carved scale in his pocket. Years later, when people asked Kevin about what happened on Outpost Cairo, he always told them the same thing. He had not saved the Vrynn alone. Paula, Tom, Dr. Mitchell and countless others had helped. But more importantly, the Vrynn had saved something in him too. They had reminded him that rules exist to serve people, not the other way around. That compassion matters more than convenience. That sometimes the most human thing you can do is refuse to give up on someone, even when the whole system tells you it is impossible. And in the end, that was worth everything.